Hey everyone, today we're going to do part 2 of last week's video that I posted on the best tabletop RPG for beginners. We're going to be focusing how to be a tabletop RPG evangelist. But first, if this is the first time that you're coming to the channel, I want to welcome you. This here is RPG Elite. This is the place where we put the RP back into RPG. We give you tools, we give you tips, tutorials, real talk about the RPG community and culture, and also deep dives into these classic tabletop RPGs. And why do we do all of those things? For these reasons, so that you can have a more immersive and enjoyable tabletop RPG experience. I want to say what's up to my elites, and let's get into this video about the best tabletop RPG for beginners. Now, last week when I posted that video, I had done a couple of takes, and in that take that we did not see, I had some information that should have made it into the video, and it did not. But by the providence of God, it really allowed me to expand on that topic, and so I'm really excited today to talk about tabletop RPG evangelism, because if I would have done this last week, that video would have been way longer than what it was supposed to be. Before you even get into this whole thing about getting out there, getting other people to join the tabletop RPG community, you have to change some things. And the number one thing that you need to change is this. You guys who have been coming back to this channel have heard me talk about this a lot, probably ad infinitum, ad nauseum to you, and I'm going to continue to do it. You need to change your mindset if you're going to do tabletop RPG evangelism, and you need to change it in two specific areas. The first place is to change it from serving you to serving others. It needs to be about serving those people. Normally, as I mentioned in the last video, normally what people try to do when they're trying to get people to play tabletop RPG and trying to get them interested in them is they just get them to play whatever they're playing. Or they try to railroad them into playing whatever popular game is popular at the moment because, you know, they really don't care about those people. Not really. Now, sometimes this is done innocently enough, but it's still the same thing. You are railroading people into something. You haven't even approached this in a way that actually serves those people. Not at all. So you need to change your mindset to one of not serving you that you think that you know what is going to be best for them, but for serving them. The next thing you need to have is an actual care for the tabletop RPG community. If we want to see the tabletop RPG community grow, then it can't be about us and what we think. It can't. I know some of you are probably saying, oh, we've got the most experience. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing right now. We are in the mode of serving people. Therefore, you must care about them and about expanding the tabletop RPG community. You have to care about it. And so in order to make tabletop RPG boomerang effect not happen, now what am I talking about, the boomerang effect? Very simple, very simple. People, they try out a tabletop RPG, but normally because they've been railroaded into playing whatever game that somebody else likes, then they just come right back out. So they come in and they go right back out. That is the tabletop RPG boomerang effect. Okay, we want to take that down. We do not want that to happen as much. So you have to come at it from a different mindset. And that mindset has these two pillars that it must rest on. The one of serving people and the other of caring for the tabletop RPG community. If you come at it from that perspective, you're going to start from the right place. Now, some people don't have it in them. They so narcissistic and everything, they don't have it in them to actually care about somebody. They just go, well, you know, I'm into tabletop RPGs and I'm enjoying myself, so, you know, that's it. Okay, that's very selfish, pretty prideful, pretty evil. But if you actually care about the community, then you're going to go through the things that are necessary to go through in order to bring more people in so that they can have a more immersive and enjoyable experience in tabletop RPGs, and we can kill that tabletop RPG boomerang effect. But in order to do that, there's a particular way that you have to do it. If you know anything about debate or you know anything about negotiating, you know that the one who controls the conversation is the one who is asking the questions. This is what is the problem in the tabletop RPG culture. Nobody's asking any questions at all. Or it's so few that we don't see the growth that we could see because we ain't really caring about nobody because we're not even thinking about serving them. The way to serve them is by asking questions. It's time to get the data that's necessary because we're really looking to get the best tabletop RPG for that beginner that is in front of you. That is what this is about. It is not about us at that point. It is about them. It is about serving them. It's also about caring about the community to add them to the family. The only way to do that is to control the conversation by asking questions. But it's not just any old questions that you need to ask. You need to ask specific questions. Now, you can ask these questions in whatever way you want to ask them, but make sure the number one thing that you're focusing on is genre. Focus on genre, because that is the thing that is going to determine what they like and what they're interested in. Focus on that. Now, if you didn't see the first video where I talk about that, you can go ahead. The link is in the description below. You can see it right now, or you can go after this video, however you want to do it. But in order to find out likes and dislikes, you have to ask specific questions. So let's get into these questions in no particular order. Now, I'm doing this in a way that I would probably ask the questions, but like I said, there's no particular order here. But the first one I would ask is, what's your favorite kind of movies? Now, why are we asking that? Well, the baseline for this is that if they're talking about movies more than the other things that we're going to ask as far as the other questions that we're going to present to them, then we're looking at the style that they would be more interested in when it comes to tabletop RPGs. And that style would be one-shots. That's what movies are when you compare them to a tabletop RPG thing. It is a one-shot. It is, hey, we're going to do this for a couple hours and then that's it. There's people out there who get into tabletop RPGs, that's all they do. All they do is just get into one-shots. Just had somebody in the comments that I read the other day, that's all they do. That's fine, do your thing. But when it comes to other people, you have to make sure that that's what they want, because they might not want that. But if they're talking a lot about movies, then it's a good likelihood that's what they're interested in. But there is an exception, and we're getting ready to get into that in the next question that you would need to ask. The next question has to do with television shows, especially today, now that we can stream them on demand, or even go to the used DVD shop, buy seasons, and then we can binge watch them, right? And if you have somebody who likes to do that, they like to binge watch television programs and new stuff, then these people are probably going to be more interested in a campaign. You know, you can do a one-shot with a movie, 2 hours, you're in and out. But with a season, you're talking about hours of stuff. What, they're like 40 minutes a pop? And we got people binging that stuff. Oh, I watched 5, I watched 6, I watched the whole first season. Okay, these people want to be a part of a campaign. They like that kind of environment. They don't like just the one shot. So if you get somebody who's binging stuff, then they probably want to be in a campaign. Also, on top of that, if they like movies that are trilogies, right? 4-parters, tetralogies. Okay, if they like those, and those are the kind of movies that they like, then you're probably getting them with somebody that are be more interested in a campaign. Okay, so now we're getting data here. And remember, keep the main thing the main thing. The genre is the main thing. So keep looking for that as you're asking these questions. So these main two are more about style. whether they're like one shots more, whether they're like campaign. Now, you want to start them off here. If they like one shots, now start them off in a one shot, maybe they graduate to a campaign. If they like campaigns, give them a mini one, 3-4 sessions or whatever. And maybe every once in a while, just do a quick one shot, but start them where they are at. Remember, it's not about serving you and what you think, and I've been in this for a long time. No. It's about you condescending to serve someone so that they can have the most immersive and enjoyable tabletop RPG experience. We got those 2 out of the way, but we have 2 more. These are going to be more focused on the type of player that you may be bringing into the tabletop RPG community. Let's go to that 3rd question. So the 3rd question is video games. What kind of video games do you like to play? And this really is going to speak to the type of immersion that player or potential player likes to get into. Like if they're playing strategy games and they're playing, first-person shooters and they're playing those kind of things, then they're not going to be real immersed into the game. And so, you don't want to have write up all this stuff on politics and world maps, and don't even worry about that stuff because those cats are really probably not going to be that interested in it, right? You just want to get something with a basic plot or whatever and just go on about your business, do your thing. Now, if they're playing games like RPGs, MMORPGs, okay, or even adventure games, all right, at that point, then you're looking for somebody who really wants to be more immersed in the experience, but you have to ask qualifying questions. You do have people in MMORPGs who are min-maxers. All they want to do is get to the end and get to the end right now. Okay, so you have to ask qualifying questions within this main question here when it comes to those kind of things. Oh, why do you like that kind of video game? I mean, what interests you about that? So ask these questions, get a little bit deeper. Do your due diligence. Do the work of a tabletop RPG evangelist. Note all this stuff down. And again, I'm going to say it again because I want you to keep the main thing, which is genre. Pay attention to genre first and foremost. All this extra data is just going to help you really pinpoint it. But then there's one more question that we have to ask. And this is more for the RPG elite. What kind of novels do you like to read? Now, really, this is two-pronged because some people don't like to read, but they'll listen to a lot of audiobooks. In either case here, it's all good because that kind of player is going to be invested in, here it comes, the story. You got people who are dedicated at that point. If they're going to read hours of a book like that thick or whatever, and they're going to spend hours invested into that story. Oh, okay. Well, they want a good story. That's what they're looking for. And then you have audiobooks. And if they're listening to a lot of audiobooks, it kind of nosedives right together with tabletop RPGs because narration is the heart and soul of what a GM does in tabletop RPGs. And if they're listening to a lot of that, that's going to be perfect, but it's still going to reflect the same thing, investing in story. They want to invest in the story. So you're talking about hours worth of listening with audiobooks. They'll even tell you, this is 17 hours, this is 28 hours, this is 24 hours. Same thing with books, right? If you're reading a Kindle. So at the bottom, it always tells you, how much you have left to read, how many hours or how long it's taken based on your reading speed. It's all about the story. These are the people that RPG elites want to focus on and really want to bring in under their wing, because these could be and probably are RPG elites in the making. So let's go over those 4 things real quick. Number 1, ask them about movies. This is going to tell you about whether or not they're going to be interested in one-shots, more in one-shots than in anything else. Number 2, ask them about their favorite television shows or the ones that they like. If they binge watching stuff all the time, they want a campaign. Number 3, what kind of video games? Adventure games, MMORPGs, RPGs. All right, if that's the case, then these are people who want to be immersed in the game. They want to be immersed in the story, if there is a story, or just in the game itself. They like the immersion part of it. And number 4, what kind of novels you like to, what kind of fiction novels do you like to read? Those people want to be invested in story. Now you have enough data, and then you can introduce them to what I gave you in the last video. So again, if you haven't seen the first video, click in the link in the description below. You can go ahead and watch that so you know what I'm talking about. All right, the question of the vid, folks. Question of the vid is this: what would prevent you from being a tabletop RPG evangelist? Or what has prevented you from being a tabletop RPG evangelist? I really want to know that, so make sure that you comment below so that we can read and discuss this thing, because if, again, we want the tabletop RPG community to grow, we all need to do our part when it comes to tabletop RPG evangelism. Well, if you like this video today and you like what I've presented here, then I would suggest that you go ahead and subscribe. And also, if you want to, you can click the notification bell, but I've been doing some research on that. And apparently, people don't even see any notifications that pop up. They don't even know that the videos have been out. YouTube, I don't know what they're doing. So at least subscribe and then come back to the channel and find out if I've got any more videos. I come out with videos every Tuesday and Friday, without fail so far. All right, coolio. And also, of course, if you actually did like it, give me some YouTube algorithm love by crushing the like button for a brother. Hope you got some value out of today's video. And if you did, awesome sauce. If you've got a game this week going on, happy gaming, y'all. I hope it is a fantastic RPG Elite session. But until next time on Friday, God willing, you know what a brother's got to do, right? A brother has just got to...
So exit, stage left.
Peace! Oh, it's time to do it now. It's been a while. Hair grease.